Guys, I'm Ross Dean from Orwell and welcome back to another of our community conversations, this time in association with the Orwell Cost of Living Toolkit, the new online resource that connects our communities to the tools and services across the region that really make a difference. We've got a really exciting guest for you today. If you live in the East Anglian region, I'm sure this is a name that you'll know from your community, but really looking forward to chatting to Ann Osborn from the Rural Coffee Caravan based in Diss. How you doing, Ann? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. As I kind of alluded to in the introduction, so Orwell, we're really passionate about sharing information about the services that are available to our communities throughout the region. And when we started to note down some of the people that we wanted to get in conversation with, you're one of the first people that came up. So thanks for your time today. If people haven't come across the work that you do before, and particularly around the Rural Coffee Caravan, can you tell us a little bit about kind of your role in that and kind of how you guys got started?
Yes, sure. So it was founded by a lady who's pretty famous in these parts called Canon Sally Fogden. And she started it around 2000 as a purely philanthropic exercise. She was, and she still is, actually a helpline operative on the Farm Crisis Network. And she just picked up from the calls around that time, which was foot and mouth, that people working in the agricultural industry particularly were very isolated, very lonely. There was a lot of information out there she knew about, but they obviously didn't. And she wanted to find a way of making sure that they got that information, but also that they didn't feel so alone. So she came up with the idea of buying a little caravan and taking it out to the places that she'd identified. So she called on a few friends to help her, and that's basically how it started. So they would go out to the villages that she'd identified from the calls, and she'd take coffee and cake and information and friendship and just help these people to feel a little less forgotten. And it that was about 2000, 2001, something like that. And then she got some funding because it was obviously such a good idea. She attracted some funding, and I came into position as a part-time project manager in 2004.
Okay.
We had one little old van, and it really was both of those things. And actually didn't last my first 6 months. I had to get a new caravan within my first 6 months, which was a bit daunting.
Yeah.
But we were making, when I started, she was making about 15 visits a year. We quickly got that to about 40. But now, all these years later, we have 3 camper vans and a caravan, and we make something like 300 visits a year.
Wow,
And
fantastic.
we see anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000 people just with our core visit. So a core visit is going to a village by invitation, only by invitation. We don't just lob up. And setting up a little coffee morning, probably outside on the village green, maybe in a village hall if perhaps they don't use it for that kind of thing. And we stay for a couple of hours. We have a route into all kinds of information that's available to support people in Suffolk. We invite agencies to come along so they can have a chat with their target audience. And we just allow people to get together and have a chat. They can have a chat with us. It's all very non-threatening. It's all very warm and welcoming. And so it's like we're a friend to rural Suffolk, and different villages need that friendship in different ways. So we adapt according to why they asked us and what they wanted from us.
Yeah. And originally, did it just cover a small part of the region?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
where did it kind of start off originally?
Well, when Sally first started it was random. It was just where she had found these people.
Yeah.
When I started in Mid Suffolk because Mid Suffolk District Council were the ones that had given us some money. So I sent a survey out to 200 Mid Suffolk parishes and was absolutely devastated when only 80 replied. I've since learned that 80 was a very good return, but at the
Yeah,
time
it's good.
I thought, how rude, where are the others? And
Yeah.
out of that 80, about 40 were interested in having a visit. So that's how it began. But now we're spread across the whole of the county.
Yeah, an incredible success, when you think about all the people that you serve within all these different communities. What do you think is integral to that success, do you think?
I think that we have a model that works that we haven't changed. We haven't vowed to pressure to reinvent the wheel every time we need some more money. It's a very non-threatening, very open, inclusive, welcoming environment. And because we don't necessarily go just the once, we start to build trust. We believe that change happens at the speed of trust. So we go for long enough to make sure that people understand that we are there for them, and if there's anything that we can do to help, that's why we exist. We're very kind, we're very friendly, we try very hard to remember things about most of the people that we've met, so that when we go back another time, we can say, oh, what was it you were telling me last time? Wasn't your grandson up to something exciting? Or that kind of thing. And I think that we have become trusted because we don't change, because it is a very consistent offer.
Yeah.
And if you're addressing the causes and the symptoms of loneliness and isolation, then consistency is the key. There's no point in swanning in and doing wonderful things and then vanishing.
Yeah.
So,
and you mentioned there that you by invitation only, so you're always invited. When something gets set up, is anyone welcome to come along?
oh, absolutely anyone. Absolutely anyone. I mean, unfortunately, they're caravans and camper vans, so it's quite hard to get people with mobility issues inside. But yeah, absolutely anyone is welcome at all. Any age group, anything, everyone is welcome. It's totally inclusive.
Yeah. And I guess, the trigger for this conversation today is obviously in the current climate, there's lots of changes around energy prices and the cost of living and that kind of thing. Looking back to maybe before this all kind of kicked in and through today, have you seen any changes in regards to, how people are when you've gone to visit them in these communities? Are they a little bit more isolated than perhaps they were before? Are they a bit more concerned? Is there
concerned? There is definite concern out there. They are worried. I mean, our service is completely free, so we haven't seen any particular difference in our numbers. In fact, since COVID restrictions lifted sufficiently for us to go back to delivering the proper model, we've had more visitors than ever. Particularly when we're outside, because obviously that's seen as being very safe, and people will come out even on days like today. They will be out in dank, cold weather with rugs around them and hot drinks and just for the social aspect. I think one of the things that we noticed through the pandemic, when we came out the other side of that, thing that people miss most was conversation. And I think that people are concerned about being isolated again through these coming cold spells, the coming cold spell. And it is a worry, because cold and isolation are a very dangerous mix. So we're hoping that a lot of people will actually go and visit the warm spaces that are being set up across the county. And people obviously are talking to us about not putting their heating on or not putting on as much. There's also quite a lot of confusion about what they're entitled to.
Sure.
It all falls into different categories, doesn't it? If you're over 80, you get this. If you're a pensioner but not yet 80, you get this. And then if you're on means tested benefits, you get this, and so on and so forth. So there's a fair bit of confusion out there about
and I think and I think that was the reason why we set up the toolkit, because what we found is that we heard of all these fantastic opportunities to help people that people just weren't aware of, and what we found is that the more people we can share these services and information to, obviously the better. One of the things that really struck me there was when you said that people would come out in all weathers. They'll come out in if it's raining, if it's windy, they'll still come out and still enjoy that. It just shows you, doesn't it, how important connection is in times like this. I'm guessing that's the thing that people say to you. That's what we come back for, just that regular connection with like-minded other people.
It really is. I mean, like I say, most people, when they were asked what the pandemic restrictions meant to them, it was lack of conversation and touch, actually, and touch.
Okay, wow.
So I spent quite a lot of time holding hands, or and that got easier as restrictions lifted a bit more, but even so, it's still quite a tricky thing when someone wants a handheld. But there are people who live alone, they just didn't get touched at all. So it was very difficult for them, and I think we have a collective low mood now that we are seeing when we go out. I mean, even some of our volunteers and staff have felt that the pandemic has changed them slightly. They weren't as gregarious as they used to be.
And in light of
rebuilding of confidence that needs to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And in light of those changes, through COVID or in the current climate, have you kind of changed what you're doing, or have you just kept to that model? Is there anything that you've had to change to accommodate maybe more people coming in now, or is it kind of business as usual in that respect?
No, it's business as usual. I mean, obviously we had a very strict COVID hygiene routine when we were
Of course,
first
yeah.
found out, but there were still some restrictions in place, and we do still make it very obvious that we are maintaining a level of that to reassure people. But actually, no, Ross, our model works. It's so simple. It's kind, it's welcoming, it's non-threatening, it's open to everybody. There isn't any need to change, really. Yeah, a few more chairs, maybe.
A few more chairs.
And it's
Right,
always me that ends up with the travel rug. All these
Oh.
stoic Suffolk people say, no, dear, it's fine, I'm okay. And I'm sitting there in 2 travel rugs because I'm freezing.
Yeah. So guys, if you're watching this and you've got a couple of chairs knocking around, get in touch with Anne. I'm sure she'll really appreciate some donations of chairs. For someone that's watching this, maybe they live in a community that hasn't yet been touched by the services that you offer. How do they set this up? How do they get involved with having you come out to them?
Okay, so all we need is an invitation, and that invitation needs to come from somebody who either has or can find the person to give permission for where we park.
Okay,
so
sure.
Obviously, we set up the camper van or the caravan.
Yeah.
That requires a bit of space in itself, but then also we need to put tables and chairs outside of that. So we just need the space to do that, and we need to know we're allowed to be there.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
other than that, that's all. And a link in the village, usually the same person that's invited in the first place, will receive posters and postcards if they want to specifically ask certain people. And they'll do the word of mouth publicity for us on the ground.
That's perfect. And also, we're part of a vibrant business community here at Orwell within the East Anglian region. For any people in associated businesses that are listening to this conversation today, how can they help you? How can they help you continue the work that you guys are doing?
Okay, well, I can tell you one really, really simple thing that businesses could do for us for one of our networks. We've set up something called Meetup Mondays, which are free coffee mornings in pubs. And actually, we feel that we've asked the publican enough by asking them to serve free tea and coffee and give a space over for an hour and a half. But they could really benefit from pavement swing signs. So they're £100 and you get to advertise your business on them. So if anybody is interested in helping us alleviate loneliness by helping us alert people to the fact that these spaces in the pubs exist, then pavement signs, please, that would be wonderful. And the other thing is, do any of your business or any of the people that do they do payroll giving? Because 78% of local giving leaves the county and goes to the top 3 national charities. And whilst we don't ever tell anybody what they have to donate to, because they donate to what their heart feels, there are so many charities in Suffolk that nobody really knows about, but could do with vital funding. They're not the big hospices, and they're not Age UK, who actually have no presence. There are all sorts of charities that could do with some help. So being a charity of the year, being the benefactor of payroll giving, if we could get businesses to look closer to home and support local charities with local money, that would be amazing.
Perfect. So guys, if you're watching this, you'll find all of Anne's direct contact information together with this video. So make sure you get in touch if there's something you think you can help with. Just to close, Anne, one of the things that we've noticed when we've had conversations within our communities is sometimes a reluctance to seek help. Sometimes we know that these services are available to us, but maybe we're a little bit hesitant for whatever reason in coming forward. What would you say to that person who is listening to this now, who maybe thinks, oh, that might be something I need? Maybe I don't get to see many people throughout the week, but I'm a little bit self-conscious about getting in touch and getting set up. What would you say to that person?
Okay, so I would say if you have a coffee caravan visit coming to your village, then just please come. You will be so welcome. And you don't have to worry about not having anybody else there, because you've got us. We'll talk to you. We'll make you a cup of tea and serve you a piece of cake, and you'll have a nice time, I promise. But the other thing that I would say is, just don't think of it as help. Think of it as staying in control. If you need some assistance with something and you think, oh, no, that's charity, I'm not asking for help, that's just not true. If you need help, you organise it yourself. You stay in control. Because if you don't, sooner or later somebody's going to have to put that help in place for you, and you won't be in control. So, you know, if you're younger and you're a working person and you want a cleaner, you make the decision, don't you? You'll employ a cleaner. When you're older and you've perhaps got attendance allowance or something like that, and you need some help in the house or the garden or a taxi to come and collect you to go shopping, that's your decision. Stay in control. Ask for those things as though they're services that you're using. It's not charity. I could go on about this because it's a real passion of mine, but if you don't ask for that kind of assistance, you might well end up being the burden you dread being.
Perfect. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. You know, if you're watching this and you're a little bit on the fence about it, you can see by Ann's passion in her voice there that it's something that we could go on speaking about for hours, I'm sure, after today. But if it's something that you feel that you could get involved with, please reach out. You know, one of the things that I'm proud to have living in Suffolk are fantastic charities, fantastic non-profits all across the region who really do want to make a difference, and that's something that's at the heart of what we do here at Orwell as well. Thank you so much, Anne, for your time today. It's been a joy to chat with you. So if you're a business and you've been listening to this, that you've heard some ways that you can get in touch and support Anne and what she's doing, and more importantly, if you're someone that feels that you can make use of the services that Anne and Rural Coffee Caravan serves, then please get in touch. And thank you so much. You know, you're doing some fantastic work over throughout the community, and you know, we like to talk about within Orwell about the snowball effect. Sometimes we don't know what the end result of all these things and how many lives you go on to change. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, take care, guys. If you want to reach out and use the Orwell Cost of Living Toolkit, you'll find all the links under this video. But until the next conversation, I'm Ross Dean for Orwell Housing, and I'll see you soon. Take care.